Okay, this is practice test 2. There are 38 questions, but I'm going to, I'm going to skip repeated questions. So first question is solve the equation. So we know how to solve linear equation, we know how to solve quadratic equation, but this is cubic equation. So we need to somehow reduce this equation into quadratic or linear. So the one way of doing this is just factor the greatest common factor here, factor the greatest common factor. So in this case, if you look at the problem, you can factor out C, and then you can just write down leftover thing inside the parenthesis, which is, and also the 4 is also common factor, greatest common factor. So the leftover would be C square plus 4 times C minus 45 equals 0. So 4c is the greatest common factor, and we factor out 4c. Now we can see that there are two different factors, 4c and this quadratic. So by using the you know uh, zero product property, we can say either 4c equals 0 or c squared plus 4 times c minus 45 equals 0. This is just c equals 0. This one just divide both sides by 4, and this one is solve quadratic equation. If you solve quadratic equation, then you can find out the you can use factoring method, or you can use quadratic formula. So here I'm going to use factoring method. C. So we are looking for the two numbers which product is negative 45 and sum is 4, and those two numbers are 9 and negative 5. 9 times negative 5 is negative 45, positive 9, negative 5 is positive 4. So by using zero product property, now we have two answers. C plus 9 equals 0 gives you C equal negative 9, and C minus 5 equals 0 gives you C equal positive 5. So these are the three possible solutions: C equal negative 9, 0, and 5. So I'm going to write down that thing here, negative 9, comma 0, and 5. As you can see that, use comma to separate answer as needed. So these are the answers. So let's check the answer. Okay, that's right. Okay, again we can do the same thing. It's a solving equation. So you can see x squared minus 81, x squared minus 81, that's the common factor. So you can just factor out x squared minus 81, and left over would be x squared minus 36. So you can change this equation into quadratic equation. So factor out x squared minus 81, which you can see available in the first term and second term, and then write down the leftover thing from the first one, which is x squared minus the second one is 36. That would be 0. You see that x squared minus 81 is available here and here, so I just factor out x squared minus 81. So now by using zero product property, either x squared minus 81 equal to 0 or x squared minus 36 equals 0. So these are the two equations we need to solve. Now here, this is actually x squared minus 81. So x is equal to plus 9 or minus 9. So x equal to plus 9 and minus 9. So x equal to negative 9 and positive 9. These are the two possible solutions for this one. Similarly, you can write it down as x minus 6 and x plus 6. So x equal positive 6 and negative 6. These are the possible solutions. So altogether there are 6 solutions: negative 6, negative 9, comma negative 6, comma positive 6, comma positive 9. Okay. So solve the equation. This is a radical equation. Whenever you see radical equation, look at the index. Look at the the what index you have here. Here it's square root, so that means index is 2. So you have to remove this radical sign. For that, for this equation, you have to take square both sides. That's the only one way you can remove that radical sign, because the index here, index means the number here is nothing, so that means it's 2. So 2 if you want to get rid of this radical sign, you have to square both sides. Square both sides. If you square both sides of the equation, you can still have same equation. Same equation means you can still use the equality sign. So if you square both sides, this radical sign will be go away. So you are going to get 3x plus 7 on the left side and 25 on the right side. Now we need to solve this equation. So subtract 7. Now that is 3x equal 25 minus 7 is 18, and if you divide both sides by 3, that will give you x equal to x equals 6. Keep in mind, after solving this radical equation, the whatever you get here, that's just a possible solution. You always have to check either this is the right solution or not by plugging this value back in the given equation. So you need to do that checking thing. So plug that value of x equals 6 in the given equation, and then let's see if that will be a true statement. 3 times x, this x can be replaced by 6. So 3 times 6 is 18, 18 plus 7 is 25, and then square root of 25 is 5, 5 equal 5. That's a true statement. So that means this is the right solution. So 6 is the right solution for this one. This is the very important thing when you are solving radical equation. You always have to check your final solution. So this is very similar kind of equation, so I'm going to skip it. But just one thing, before you solve this equation, like the previous problem, you have to bring x to the right side. That means you have to isolate this radical sign on one side of the equation. So before you do same thing like the previous problem, you have to isolate radical sign on the one side of the equation, and 3 minus 2x, and you have to write down everything else on the other side of the equation. And now after that, just take the square and then solve the equation. Okay, but remember, after finding the solution, you always have to check your solution, because some of the solution might not be the right solution. Okay, so after solving this, after taking the square, you get 3 minus 2x equal x squared, which is your quadratic equation. Now you have to solve the quadratic equation. But when you try to solve quadratic equation, okay, let me just complete this. You can write it down this as x squared. If I bring everything on the other side, that will be x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 0. So that means you're looking for a product of -3 such that the sum would be +2. So that is actually +3 and then -1, right? +3 minus 1 is -3, plus 3 minus 1 is +2. So these are the two possible solutions. These are the two possible solutions. They are not solution for the given equation. You have to now check either they are the right solution or not by plugging this value back in the equation. So you need to do the checking thing. So if I plug -3 in the given equation, that will be 3 minus 2 times -3, -3 equals 0. So if I do the math here, 3 negative times negative is +6, negative times negative is +3 equals 0, and that is eventually square root of 9, which is 3 plus 3 equals 0, which is 6 equals 0, which is false. That's not right statement. So you cannot accept 3 as a solution. Oh, so -3 as a solution. So -3 is not a solution. Okay, and you have to do the same thing for 1. If you plug 1 in the given equation, the equation will be this, which is square root of 1 minus 1 equals 0, which is eventually 1 minus 1 equals 0, so 0 equals 0. So this is true statement. So the solution for this problem is just one solution, that is, we got two potential solution, -3 and 1, but out of this two potential solution, -3 is not the right solution. That's what we found. So we have to cancel this -3 as a potential solution. So we have to cancel this one. So this is not the right one. So the only solution we have is +1. Okay, so +1 is the solution. So positive 1 is the solution. So let's plug that value back here, and that's perfect. Okay, so there are a bunch of problems like this. So let's see the first one. Solve the following inequality, graph the solution set, and write it in interval notation. So this is the inequality problem. So problem number 5. To solve inequality problem like this, you have to bring everything else on the one side and then variable x on the other side. So just subtract 5 here. That will give you x equal 11 minus 6 is positive 6. 11 minus 5 is positive 6. So the solution is, if you try to plot this, x is less than 6, you have to find out 6, do not include 6, and everything else on the left side of 6, it would be your solution. So go here. So A, it's includes 6, so that's not the right one. B, it's greater than 6, so that's not the right one. We are looking for something less than 6 and open circle at 6, so this is the right solution. Okay, and how do you write it? Using the solution set, the solution set, select the correct choice and write it down using the interval notation. Interval notation, that's what we have to use. So interval notation means it's starting from, if you look at the graph here, it's starting from negative infinity, so it's going down to the left side, extreme left side, so that means negative infinity, comma, and it's going up to positive 6. So remember, positive 6 is not included, so we have to use parentheses. Okay, so that's our solution. A very similar question, I'm going to skip it. Very similar question, I'm going to skip it. So here is the, we need to solve a three-part linear inequality. The way we solve linear inequality, we do the same thing here. This is problem 8, three-part linear inequality. Negative 5 over 6 is less or equal to t plus 2 is less than 1/5. So you have to isolate this t variable in the middle part. So that means here you can see there is a plus 2. So subtract 2 from left, middle, and then right term. So that will give you, so negative 5 over 6, negative 2. If you try to subtract it, it's a negative 5 over 6, negative 2 times 6 over 6. We are making the same denominator here. To subtract two rational number, here it would be t, and this is 1/5 minus 2 times 5 over 5. I'm making the same denominator, so I just multiply the top one and bottom one by 5. It should be negative 2 only, but we are subtracting it from the rational number, so we have to make the same denominator. So on the left side you can see that negative 5, negative 12 over 6, because they have the common denominator, you can just copy everything on the left side. T equal, and the same thing here, 2 times 5 is 10 over 5. So negative 5, negative 12 is negative 17 over 6, and here it's negative 9 over 5. So that's the answer. So the t should be something starting from negative 17 over 6, including negative 17 over 6. So the answer should be including negative 17 over 6. And then if you go to the left side is not including negative 9 over 5. Not including negative 9 over 5. That means we have to use parentheses. Okay. So very similar question. I'm going to skip that. Skip this one. Just one thing I would like to mention here. To to solve this problem, first of all, just multiply this inequality by 2, because there is a fraction, there is a 2 on the denominator. That is what you're supposed to take care first. Okay, and then do everything as we did in this example. Okay, this is the compound inequality. So you have two different inequality, and there is an and. So that means solve the left one, solve the right one, find the intersection between them. If there is and, you have to find the intersection of the solution of the left and then right one. So let me just do it here. This is problem 11. So you have to solve the left inequality, which is 3x minus 2 is less or equal 4, and you have to solve the right inequality, which is 2x plus 2 greater than 4. So if you want to solve the left one, just add 2, so that will give you 3x is less or equal to 6, divide it by 3, and x is less or equal to 2. That's the solution for the first part. And you also have to solve the second part, which is 2x is greater than 2, and if we divide both sides by 2, that will be 2x is greater than 1. So now the solution, because there is an and between them, that's what we have given here. The solution would be intersection of this one and this one, common intersection. So to see the intersection, what we can do is we can plot the graph for x is less or equal to -2 and x is greater than +1. I'm going to use two different color to show the difference between x is less or equal to 2 and x is greater than 1. So let me start with let me use a red color for the first one. X is less or equal to 2, so let's say there is a 0, there is a 1, there is a 2, less or equal, so including 2 it's a less, so we go back here everything. That's the first one. For the second one, let me use a different color here, not including 1, so open circle, but go to the right side. So whenever you see blue and then red together, that's your answer because of this and. So you can see that starting from 1 but not including 1, the blue and red both, they are going up to 2 including 2. So this would be our answer. What is that? So this would be our answer, 1 comma 2. So the answer is not including 1 comma 2 but including 2. Okay, very similar type of problem. So this is absolute value equation. So to solve this problem, you have to know the property of absolute value. So the first property we have to use in this equation is problem 13. If absolute value of something, let's say something means something inside this box, we don't care what we have here inside the box. If absolute value of anything, that means I'm just using the box here, absolute value of any box is equal to some constant k. This k means some real number, some positive real number, positive real. That means either that box, whatever you have inside this box, could be equal to positive k, or that could be equal to negative of the value you have given here. In this problem, inside this box we have x minus 7 and the value of k is 9. So according to this property, we have to say x minus 7 is equal to positive 9 or x minus a is equal to negative 9. And we need to solve both of these equations. So if we solve the first one, just add 7 and that will be x equal positive 16, and here do the same thing, add 7 and x equal to negative 2. So these are the two possible solutions for this problem, -2 comma positive 16. Okay, use a comma to separate the answer. Okay, that's right. Okay, the very similar question, I'm going to skip it. I'm going to here, this is the absolute value inequality problem. Okay, you can solve in a similar manner, but also you have to understand the meaning of this absolute value with inequality. If let's say 15, if you have absolute value of something is less or equal to some constant k, this means this box could be greater or equal to that constant, negative value of that constant, and less or equal to positive value of that constant. So whatever you have inside this box could be in between -k to positive k, and this inequality sign depends on what inequality sign you have given here. Let's say you have just greater than sign, just you just use it, that sign only. But in this problem we have given less or equal to 1. So we're just repeating that. Remember, this box means whatever value you have given inside this absolute value sign, and k is the number you have here. In our case it's a 1. So and inside the box there is a 2 minus 4x, and that's positive 1. So it's actually, three-part inequality problem. Okay, so solve this one. For solving we have to isolate x in the middle. So first of all, subtract 2. If we subtract 2 on the left side we get negative 3, in the middle side we get negative 4x, and on the right side we get negative 1. Remember, there is a negative 4, so to remove this negative 4 from the middle part, we have to divide this inequality by negative number. But there is a one property. It says if you are dividing or multiplying by the negative number in the inequality problem, then this inequality sign will flip. So the meaning is, if I divide this by negative 4, then this sign will flip now. Okay, we are dividing this by negative 4. We are dividing this by negative 4. So after division by negative number, this sign will change. So on the left side we're going to get 3 over 4, because this negative and this negative will be cancelled out. This sign will be now greater or equal. This negative 4 cancel out, and on the right side will be 1 over 4. So the value of x is from 1 over 4 up to 3 over 4. Okay, this 3 over 4 is greater. So when you write down the solution, you start from 1 over 4, include 1 over 4 because there is an equal sign, and you go up to 3 over 4, include 3 over 4. Remember, when you use interval notation, you always have to start from the lower number and go to the upper number, higher number. So 1/4 is the lower number and 3/4 is the higher number. So we are starting from 1/4, and because there is an equal sign, this line here, so we have to include these numbers. So the solution is 1/4 to 3/4, including them. Okay, very similar question, so I'm going to skip it. uh, it's a very similar question, but you have to use a property of absolute value. If absolute value of something is greater than 5, then what happens there? So here it was less, but now you have greater. So I'm just going to give you that property here. Absolute value of something is greater than, let's say, some positive number k. It means that thing inside the absolute value could be greater than k, or that thing inside the absolute value could be it's less than negative k. So there are two different cases. So it could be greater than k, and it could be less than k. So you have to solve both of these inequality, and there is a it could be greater than or. So think about this. Let's just think about this. Let's say if you have given absolute value of x is greater than 5, so that is only possible if x is if you are thinking of x is greater than 5 or x is less than negative 5. Because look at the let me just draw real number 9 here. Here is a 5 and here is a negative 5. Any number from here, the absolute value of any number from here is greater than 5. An absolute value of any number from here is greater than 5. Think about negative 6. Absolute value of negative 6 is positive 6. So that would be greater than 5. So the answer would be this one or this one. So you have to solve this inequality and this inequality, and in the middle there will be or means the solution would be union, both of them. Make sense? So let's do it this problem. So according to this information, x plus 1 could be greater than 5, or x plus 1 could be less than 5. These are the two inequality you have to solve. Or means finally after solving the left side and right side, we take the union of those two answers. So this means if you subtract 1, x is greater than 4, and if you subtract 1 here, x is greater than -6. So the answer is anything greater than 4, anything less than 6. So how do you write it? Anything less than 6 is, from -infinity to -6. Anything greater than 4 is 4 to +infinity. So the answer would be, because there is a or sign, you have to take union of them. But we always start with the lower number, so you have to write down this thing on the left side and this thing on the right side. So the answer would be, you start from the negative number, union, and then positive number. So that would be your final answer. -infinity to -6 union, +4 to +infinity, not including -6 and +4. Okay. Determine whether the indicated order pairs lie on the graph of the given equation. So there are three order pair, 1, 2, 3. I'm not going to check all three of them, so I'm going to show you one. I'm going to take completed work. I'm just going to take, one of the answers to find out either any point lie on a graph of the equation or not. You just plug those points on the given equation. Plug means you choose x value, the first one, and then y value for the second one. Since there are three different points, I'm not going to do for all three of them, so I'm just going to do one of them. So let's say -3 comma 57. So if you want to check either that lie on the graph of the given equation or not, so first of all, you have given equation y equals 6x squared plus 3. So let's check for the first one, -3 comma 57. So in this equation, you put x equal -3 and y equal 57. And if after plugging those values, if this will give you the true statement, that means this point lie on the graph. Okay, so x equal -3 and y equal 57. If I plug this value here, so on the left side I will have 57, on the right side I will have -3 squared plus 3, and eventually it's a 57. 6 times -3 square is 9 plus 3, so 57 equal 54 plus 3 equal 57. So that's a true statement. So that's the reason this -3 comma 57 is that lie on the graph of this equation. So as you can see that the second point also lie on the graph, but the third point does not. If you plug x equal square root of 3 here and y equal 15 here, that will not give you true statement like this. I will leave this to you to check this rest of these 2 points. Okay, very similar question. I'm going to skip it. Okay, find the x and y intercept. X and y intercept, it means x-intercept means when you put y equal to 0 in the given equation, and y-intercept means when you put x equal to 0 in the given equation. So let's say this is problem 20. So you have a graph and there is a line, let's say there is a line, this line. So this line is intersecting on the x-axis at this point. This point is called x-intercept, and this point is called y-intercept. And for finding the x-intercept, you plug y equal to 0 in the given equation. For finding the y-intercept, you plug x equal to 0 in the given equation. Okay, so in this problem, as you can see, for finding this thing, first of all, find out x-intercept, meaning you put y equal to 0 in the given equation, which is 2x minus 5 times 0 equal 4. So 5 times 0 is 0, so 2x equal 4. So if you divide both sides by 2, x equal 2. So x equal to 2. So that's your x-intercept. It's supposed to be 2 comma 0 as an x-intercept is a point, but in your answer, They are saying simplify your answer, use integer or fraction for any numbers in the expression. So they just want this 2 here. Instead of writing this as a point 2 comma 0 in my here, they just want that number. And now for the y-intercept, do the same thing. Solve for y by plugging x equal to 0 in the given equation. As you can see, that given equation is 2x minus 5y. So if you put x equal to 0 in the given equation, that will be negative 5y equal 4. And then if you divide both sides by negative 5, y equal negative 4 over 5. So that would be y equal negative 4 over 5. Okay. Okay, that's right. Find the distance. There is a distance formula. You should know the distance formula. If you have 2 points, let's say x1 y1 and x2 y2, these are the 2 points, and if you want to find out the distance between them, the formula is square of the difference between the x coordinate. You can write down x2 minus x1 or x1 minus x2. That's the same thing, because you are taking the square, so it doesn't matter from which what you are going to subtract. So this is the formula you should know in this problem. Let's say a is x1 y1 and b is negative 3 and comma 17. If you do that, I'm just going to plug that value back here. So a is x1 y1 and negative 3 comma 17 is x2 y2. So x2 is negative 3, x1 is 5 whole square plus y2 is 17, and then y1 is 2 whole square. So just do simplification here. Square of negative 8 square, that means 64, plus 17 minus 2 is 15. 15 square is what is that? It's a 225. 15 square, yeah, 225. So that means 225 plus 64. So square root of 225 plus 64 is, I'm going to use my calculator, you can do the same thing, plus 64, 289. So square root of that's 17. So the distance is 17 units. Okay, it's 17 units. Okay, very same question. I'm going to skip that. Find the slope of the line containing the pair of the points. You have to know the formula for this. This is problem 23. The formula for slope of the line passing through 2 points. Let's say the same thing, x1 y1 and x2 y2. The formula for the slope is difference between the y coordinate over difference between the x coordinate. So in our problem, let's say the first point is negative 10 comma 11. The second point is 12 comma 7. Plug the value. Y2 is 7 minus y1 is 11. X2 is 12 minus x1 is negative 10. So that would be 7 minus negative 11 is negative 4. 12, this negative and this negative becomes positive. 12 plus 10 is 22. Now you can simplify this. It will be negative 2 over 11. So that's the slope. Remember, you have to simplify your answer, type an integer or fraction. So you always have to read the instruction you have given there in the problem. Very similar question. I'm going to skip this. Okay, very similar question. 2 points and you want to find out the slope. So this is the same problem. Write the equation of the horizontal line passing through the point. Horizontal line means y value of if a horizontal line is passing through a point, that means on the horizontal line always the y value would be always same. So the equation can be found by just writing y equal the y coordinate of that point. And for the vertical line, which is let's say the next problem, the vertical line, you just have to write x equal the x coordinate. If you have given a point on the vertical line, then just write down x equal that x coordinate of the point. Find the equation of line passing through these 2 points. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. Remember, if you want to find out equation of line, you always have to find out the slope. And you are looking for the slope-intercept form. So there is a one formula that's, let's say this is problem 28. Uh, um, you can find the equation of line passing through a point, one point, for example, x1, y1, and with the slope m is the slope, can be found by using this formula y minus y1 equal m times x minus x1. After plugging the value of m and x1, y1, you can always change this equation into any form you are looking for. But in this problem, instead of giving the slope, we have given 2 points, which is 2 comma 2 and negative 1 comma 5. So we can take this as x2, y2, and we find the slope by using the formula, the previous formula we just discussed, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's the formula. Plug the value here. So y2 would be 5 minus 2 over x2 is negative 1 negative 2, that is 3 over negative 3, which is eventually negative 1. So slope of this line is negative 1. We already have the value of x and y1, so I'm going to plug that value here. Y minus 2 equal negative 1 x minus 2. Since we're looking for the equation in slope intercept form, so we have to bring this 2 to the right side. So before that, let me distribute this negative 1 here. So negative 1 times x is negative x, negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2. And now we want to bring this negative 2 to the right side, so just add 2, and that will give you y equal negative x plus 4. This is the slope slope intercept form. Slope intercept form means you want your equation in y equal mx plus b form, meaning you just want to keep y on the left side and you want to bring everything else on the right side. So this is your slope intercept form, which is y equal negative x plus 4. Y equal negative x positive 4. Remember, you are looking for the answer in slope intercept form. If you give the answer in some other form, then your answer would be wrong. Also, type your answer in slope intercept form. Read the instruction always. Use integers or simplified fractions. So you cannot use something else. You cannot use decimal here. Okay. The equation of two lines are given. Determine if the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. If you have given two lines, find out the slope of the first line, find out the slope of the second line, and then use the property of slope. If the slope of both lines are equal, that is parallel. If the slope of one line is negative of the reciprocal of the slope of another line, that is perpendicular, otherwise neither. So the main thing here in this kind of problem is need to find out the slope. And for finding the slope, you have to write down your equation in slope intercept form. So I'm going to taking the first equation, that is negative 8x minus 2y equal negative 4. Write down this equation in slope intercept form. Needs you have to bring this negative 8x to the right side, so that is negative 2y equal 8x minus 4, and after that you have to divide everything by negative 2. By doing that, on the left side you get y, and then here you get negative 4x, and here you get positive 2. So that is the equation. So from here, if you compare this equation with y equal mx plus b, then the number in front of x is your slope for this equation. In this case, let's say the slope is m1, which is a negative 4. And we're going to do the same thing for the second part, which is 3x minus 9y equal 9. So subtract 3x, and if you subtract 3x, on the left side you have negative 9y, on the right side you have negative 3x plus 9, and now divide everything by negative 9. That will give you y equal negative 3 over 9 is 1/3, positive 1/3, because this negative and this negative is gone, x, and then this is 1. So the slope from here you can see is 1/3. So as you can see that these slopes are not equal, and their product is not 1. If their product is 1, that would be slope for the perpendicular line, but if you try to find the product is not equal 1. Oh, sorry, if you find the product equal -1, then that would be perpendicular, but it's they are not equal and their product is not equal to -1. That's why they are neither. To be parallel, the slope of the two lines should be equal. To be perpendicular, the product of the slope of these two lines should be equal to -1, but that is not the case here. The very similar question here, you need to find out what is that. Use the given condition to write down the equation. So you have to write down the equation of a line. The line is passing through this point, and it's parallel to this equation. If you remember the previous problem I was talking, if you want to find out the equation of a line, then this is what you have to use, and for that you must know one point and then slope. In this particular problem, you know the 1 point, so that's not a problem. X1 y1 is -1 comma 2, and for finding the slope you can use the slope of this line because the line you are looking for is parallel to this line. So slope of your line would be 4/3. So use exactly same equation. Just put x1 is -1 comma and y1 is 2 and slope is 4/3. So I'm going to leave this problem to you. Okay, here again the same kind of problem. Point is given and you can find the slope by using but this time the line is perpendicular. So for finding the slope of your line would be negative of the slope of this line, reciprocal of this line. So I'm going to do this problem here. 32. So x1 y1 is given, that is -8/7, and slope would be -1 over the slope of this line you have given, because this line is perpendicular to the line you are looking for. So always if it's perpendicular, the slope of your line would be -1 over the slope of the perpendicular line, which is 2/5. So it would be -5/2. So now the equation is y minus y1, which is 7. Slope is -5/2. X minus x1, which is -8. That negative and this negative becomes positive. And now remember, always read the instruction says write an equation for the line in slope intercept form. So for the slope intercept form, right, first of all distribute this -5/2, and that will be -5/2 times 8, which is 20, and then add 7 here. So that will be y equal -5/2x, and if you multiply this thing it will be 20. -20 plus 7 is -30. So that's the equation of line you are looking for. So y equal -5/2x minus 30. Okay, determine if the relation is also a function. So that's the first question. Give the domain and the range of the relation or function. So if you have given relation in this form, you always check either there is a repeated the inputs, and if for that inputs, repeated inputs, if there is a different output, for example 3 6 1 6. So I'm just going to draw a Venn diagram for you here. That's problem 33. Domain means x value, so 3 and then 6 and then 1 and then 6 and then 3 and then 1. So look at here, for 3 the value is 2, for another 3 the value for a 6 the value is 3, okay, for 1 the value is 6, okay, for 6 the value is 8, for 3 the 3 is repeated now, the value is 5. So this 3 is already here, so we are not going to use another 3 here. So 3 is going to be 8 this 3 is going to be 5 this time. So 3 is going to be 5 this time. So you see there are two arrows coming from the 3, so this relation is not a function. And also there is another point, 1 is repeated and 1 is going to 8. So you don't repeat the number on the domain here. As you can see that there are two arrows coming from two different number, that means it's not a function. So this relation is not a function. And now by doing this, finding the domain, this part is the domain and this is range. So the domain is 1. Oh, so 6 is also repeated, so you don't have to write down this 6 again. Okay, the 6 is also repeated, so instead of repeating it, just use the arrow here. Okay, just use the arrow. So 1 3 6 are three domain, 1 3 6, and then range is, as you can see, range 2 3 5 6 8, 2 3 5 6 8. Okay, correct. Evaluate the function is given and you want to find out the value of the function. There are three different the very similar kind of questions, so I'm going to just use completed work and I'm going to just show you the work for the first one. Okay, uh, as you can see, the function is given, that is 34. The function is given and the function is 2x minus 5. Whatever you want to find, just replace that x by that value. For the first problem, it's -7. So wherever you see x on the right side of the function, just replace that x by that number or anything you have given here. So 2 times -2 is -14. So -14, -5 is -19. That's the reason the answer is -9. So I'm going to skip the part B, but I'm going to show you part C. Remember, as I say, whatever they might want you to find out, whatever this box, I'm just replacing this x by box. If I want to find out the value of the function at box, then I need to replace this x by box. So the value would be 2 times the box minus 5. For the part C, inside the box you have x minus 5. So it is 2 times x minus 5 minus 5, which is now you have to just distribute 2. It would be 2x minus 10 minus 5, and it's eventually 2x minus 15. So that's the answer for the third one. Very similar question. Okay, what kind of function is this? There are three different kind of function we talk. One is root function, polynomial function, and rational function. This is rational function. Whenever you have polynomial on the top and polynomial on the bottom, that is a rational function. The domain of the rational function is all real number except the x, which makes the denominator 0. In this case, the denominator part of that function 9x plus 7, we don't want that to be 0. So we are trying to find out what value of x makes that denominator 0. So just divide both sides by 9. So x equal -7 over 9. So x equal -7 over 9 makes this denominator 0. So that means the domain is all real number except this -7 over 9 for x. So how do you write it down here? Use the interval notation. So interval notation means this is a real number line. You go from -infinity up to -7 over 9. You don't take -7 over 9 and you take everything else other than this. So you write -infinity up to -7 over 9 parenthesis union -7 over 9 comma infinity. By doing that, you are just excluding -7 over 9 and you are taking everything else. So how do you write it? -infinity comma -7 over 9 parenthesis union parenthesis -7 over 9 comma positive infinity. That's the answer. Okay, find f of 3. Just do the, the previous, like the previous problem we did this one. And this is also exactly the, the same thing you have to do like we did problem 34 part C. Just replace the box by, x minus 1 and simplify it. Okay, so that's practice test 2.